barod yn rhithiol.
We are meeting virtually once again.
Croesawu unrhyw un arall sy'n
And
ymuno ar-lein.
we would like to welcome everyone else online to join the meeting. Everyone is welcome. Let us move on to the agenda virtually
Talking of the
once
agenda,
again.
members, apologies for the large volumes of paper this time. Obviously, most of us receive them electronically anyway, but it can be quite daunting when there's so many papers to look at. We needed to bring all of these items to you today, but in future we will try to organise to have fewer large items for you to consider. I know particularly council members have had a couple of really heavy meetings recently as well, so I hope your heart didn't sink too badly with our contribution as well. So we move on to the agenda now to receive apologies for absence. Have we got any, Caroline?
Thank you, Chair. We've received apologies from Councillor Bethan Price, and we've been informed by Councillor Chris Williams that he will be slightly late to the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Diolch. Diolch. So, members, has anybody got any disclosures of interest in respect to any item of business on the agenda today? Councillor Thomas, Vanessa?
Morning, everyone. Just a personal interest in item 3225, Visit Pembrokeshire. I've recently attended a meeting with PCC also discussing Visit Pembrokeshire. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Clements, Di?
Morning, Chair Borda. Just to say, also declaring, I'm not sure really I need to declare an interest on Visit Pembrokeshire, but I am mindful that I sit on Visit Pembrokeshire by virtue of being a Pembrokeshire Coast National Park representative for everybody. So I just want to put it out there that but I'm not sure whether that's, I don't think it's a personal or prejudicial because you've asked me to sit there. So I'm just letting everybody know though. Thank you.
You're our nomination, Di, but I think it's always helpful to remind members and others about these issues. So thank you for that. Stephen, Councillor Alderman.
Thank you, Madeleine. Agenda item 3025 again, annual partnership. Just to let people know, we're going to be talking about Planet. I was chair of Planet for some 7 years in the before 2020. I also, in that time, PAVS was sectored off from Planet, as was Coastal Forum in that time as well. So just to make people aware that I was part of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Obviously that's a way away now, so, but once again, it's very helpful to have these reminders. And finally, Tim, Councillor Evans.
Yeah, thank you, Madeleine. Same as Councillor Vanessa Thomas, I too was in a meeting regarding the Visit Pembrokeshire, so I'd just like to give a personal interest in that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Diolch yn fawr iawn. We will, following our advice, we will just raise those items, declarations when we actually come to the item being discussed as well. But thank you for those. Right, we move on to item 3, confirm the minutes of our last meetings, which was the AGM on the 18th of 2025, and then our ordinary meeting following. Any comments, or can I have a proposer and seconder, please? We've got Dr. Plummer, Rosie raising her hand. I'm assuming that's to propose.
Yeah.
Rosie?
Yes, but both.
Thank you very much for both. And Sam, Councillor going back. Well, again, is that 2 seconds, Sam?
Yes, Chair.
Diolch yn fawr iawn. Members, can I just see hands for approval that we confirm those minutes? Thank you. Right, I've got 12 there. I'm assuming any others were not able to come to the meeting. Any abstentions? Remember, I was having. So Gwyn, we've got an abstention from you. Is that the case?
No, I was just my computer had
Slowly
frozen.
with you. That's fine. That's fine. That's carried, members. Thank you very much. Now we're noting the action log from the meeting of the 18th. I think it's fairly straightforward. We've carried out, catching up with my action log here after the minutes. We've closed off a couple of the items, and we've also moved two on, or we've got a clear timeline for achieving those. Has anybody got any questions or points to raise, or any other items that weren't captured in the log? No, thank you very much. I think that's very helpful, as always, to have that log. Now, members, we move on to Chair's announcements. Wel, rwyt ti'n fis-prysur neu yn wythnosau cyntaf fel caderiad, roedd yn ymddangos yn brysur.
I've been very busy first week as chair.
It really has been busy, but before I start on what I've been doing, I'd like to highlight an event that I hope we can all get involved with in September. The park's holding a Walk the Path for Wellbeing on September the 12th. We're encouraging groups to get together to walk a section of the Coast Path to celebrate its importance for everyone's well-being. Together, we're hoping to have people covering the whole of the length of the path. We're not anticipating everybody walking the whole length of the park, although, you know, we welcome people who would like to do that. I thought it would be very nice if members could get involved. First off, particularly by encouraging people to take part. But perhaps we can also commit to form a team and walk as well to take part. So perhaps if you're interested, you could let Georgia know, and we can arrange for either us to all be a team together, or for you to join other teams. The park we're encouraging people to take part in any way possible. So I'm anticipating not only walking, but there might be some people who want to go along the beach on a beach wheelchair, or swim, Sam, or anything. So there's potential to get involved, but so important, I think, to highlight how important the Coast Path is to us all. So I'll move on to my activities over the last few weeks. We had a National Parks Wales meeting with the Minister. We were really pleased that the meeting went ahead, because it was just before his announcement on the Sustainable Farming Scheme. He was clearly very busy. It was a very positive meeting. It was very nice for me to obviously meet him in the formal position for the first time. And he was also, he passed on his grateful thanks to Councillor Clements Tadai for all her hard work with the National Parks Wales. A very positive meeting and we covered a lot of useful points. I then had the opportunity to meet a number of the senior team of Amgueddfa Cymru, and then the huge pleasure of opening the new exhibition at Oriel Park, Morwellian, The Sea Horizons by Gary Fabian Miller. Really is a wonderful exhibition, and a number of us were lucky enough to pop in when we were at Oriel Park for a workshop the week after it opened. I'd really encourage everyone to visit. It's very, very calming, and a reminder of how important for us in Pembrokeshire, particularly, the Sea Horizon is. We've got an agenda item covering our long-term partnership with Amgueddfa Cymru coming up, so we'll touch on that then. Tegrin and I met with the CEO and other staff from the Campaign for National Parks, particularly to discuss their thoughts about national marine parks. And both Tegrin and I thought very much about Paul Harris then, and how pleased he would be to be hearing that that discussion was going on. We also attended the Royal Welsh Agricultural Show, where, as well as attending a number of events, we hosted events with the various farming organisations concerning Ffermio Bro, and how this might help farmers. This scheme that we're administering, the National Parks and Designated Landscapes are administering, might help farmers to move on to the higher tiers of the sustainable farming. For speaking at one of those events, giving everybody her farmer's perspective. During the month, I've been working with Welsh Government on our search for the new Welsh Government appointed members for our park. We had a fantastic response, members, 49 applications, so just shows the interest that there is. And we shortlisted and then held interviews last week. It's a really strong field, and the Minister's got some excellent candidates to choose from for the 3 posts that we need to replace the 2 that have left, and then Rosie will be leaving at the start of next year. Then finally, the Deputy Chair and I attended the Pembrokeshire Outdoor Schools celebration at Milford Haven Secondary School. This is the first senior school to receive recognition with an award, so we were really pleased to be there. And the education team, as always, have done a great job. I left this item to last, although delightfully it was the first event that I attended as chair, because I want to pay tribute to Graham Peake. He chairs the Pembrokeshire Outdoor Schools partnership and is our learning and inclusion team leader. We've all met Graham at meetings and also out in the field, I know. Graham's worked for the park for the past 12 years, and he'll be retiring at the end of August. So I'd just like to thank Graham for all his work for the park and the young people of Pembrokeshire and beyond, and wish him a very happy retirement. So diolch, Graham, and llongyfarchiadau on your retirement. Members, I think that covers everything apart from our standard meetings and workshops that we've all attended. Happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, very happy to move on to agenda item 6.
I think Councillor Clements wants a word.
Yeah, just a quick one. Apologies, I should have asked you beforehand, but I had one last invitation to or event to attend, which was Scone Island. Councillor Claire George also attended in her role as councillor, but I went as chair at the time. Just to say that we had a fantastic day, and thanks to those who organised it. They're really after a campaign, actually, I think, raising awareness of Manx shearwaters and how in September specifically, when they fledged that the light pollution affects them. I didn't realise how many volunteers there were in the whole of Pembrokeshire, but they could do with some more. And it was really interesting. And in fact, they had dealt with, I think it was nearly, I think Claire might be able to confirm, up to nearly 500 Manx shearwaters that they've actually put back or sent on their way. So it's a huge number, really, when you think about it, and that's because of people's intervention and help and guidance. So if anybody can help, they were asking for some assistance, and also somehow it would be quite good if we could somehow raise a campaign or help with the campaign about light pollution. I mean, we do it with our planning and things, but Milford Haven Port Authority were there, lots and lots of different organisations were present, but I'm sure that altogether we could assist with that. But really brilliant day, and if anybody hasn't been, they should go. And it's such an important part of our coastline. And actually, when we talk about the future for generations, or generations for future well-being, globally, that is it, because it affects, you know, the world. with Manx. So and obviously puffins as well. But we were specifically there for Manx. But thank you, Chair, for your indulgence.
You're on mute, Chair.
Thank you, Di. Sorry. Thank you, Tim. Yeah, really important, Di, to remind people about the global importance of our Manx shearwater populations, and the fact that these amazing creatures then overwinter down at the southern point of South America and return to our islands every year, sometimes for decades. And there are some very old birds on the island, we know. I think the oldest so far is something like 56 years, huge age. And yeah, very important link, I think, between Wales and Patagonia and the coast down there that we have, but critical that people are aware that very bright lights just put these fledglings, can put them off course. They should be going way south and they end up in doorways in Haverfordwest, which is not ideal. So anybody who fancies joining that team of volunteers, has been going on for years and is really important, then the Wildlife Trust would be keen to hear from you, I'm sure. Right, we'll move on to agenda item 6 now, which is to receive the reports of the meetings of the Development Management Committee held on the 21st of May and the 18th of June. If I go to Simon as chair of the DM committee.
Thank you, Chair. I'm happy to move both of them unless you want me to move them separately in terms of their accuracy.
That would be fine. They've been received by the meeting anyway, Simon, already. So we're receiving rather than approving this time, I think. But yes, we've already had the meeting at which
happy to do both.
Approved.
Happy to do both.
Members, happy to receive. I don't think we need to vote on that one because we have been at the meeting previously. Is that the case? Caroline, just to confirm.
That's correct. Yeah.
Fine. Thank you very much. So members, we'll move on to consider the report of the meeting of the Employee Forum held on the 12th of March. There are a number of members present, obviously. Does anybody wish to speak to these? Helpful meeting, as always. So I think everybody has noted those. Di, hand raised.
Yeah, there was one thing. Thank you, Chair. I think there was one there. I can't find it now, but where the members of staff were quite content with the pay and grading. So that was a tribute to all the effort from the team to get that across the line. I know it was lengthy, but that was nice to read. So well done all.
Indeed, yes, and thank you for raising that. It also highlighted the importance of working with the unions and how that whole process has gone. I know it has seemed long for everybody, for staff and for members, but hard work by the team has got us there. Maureen, Councillor Bowen.
Yes, I think the meeting showed that is how essential it is to listen to staff and, you know, to have a happy team. That's the only way. We must consider their views. And I think it was a productive meeting.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And certainly we were hearing just before the start of the meeting, very positive feedback coming from other parks about our staff, people on holiday here, saying how welcoming and how the park seems to be delivering. That's really important to us. But as you say, Maureen, it's critical that we're working closely with the staff, and important that they're feeling that they're working for an organisation that cares for them, which we certainly do. We have no organisation without the team. I don't believe we have to vote on those minutes? No, so we'll move on to consider the report of the meeting of Audit and Corporate Services Review Committee held on the 14th of May 2025. This was the last meeting that Rachel Heath-Davis was the chair for. At our most recent meeting, we've elected Councillor Clements to be chair. So, you were at the meeting, Di, so I just wonder whether there's any comments that you want to make.
I don't think so, Chair. I think it's all fairly self-explanatory unless anybody's got any questions. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Again, do we need to have a vote? No, thank you very much. We're considering not approving, so that's absolutely ideal. And finally, no, not finally, we've got a couple more. We move on to the report of the meeting of the Operational Review Committee, which was held on the 11th of June 2025. Rosie was chair for that meeting. Rosie, is there anything that you wish to draw to members' attention?
Thank you. No, straightforward, I say, self-explanatory, always very good meetings.
And I particularly noted how helpful it seems to have the focus on each area for each meeting. It gives a really important structure and also reminds us all of our 4 areas of focus from our strategy. So really helpful for that. So we'll move on to the Standards Committee Appointments Panel held on the 17th of June 2025. We have a paper on the outcome of the panel, so I don't think there's any need to discuss this here, and this is just for noting, and our monitoring officer, Mike Kemp, will present a paper later on the outcomes of this. Happy with that, Mike?
Yeah, that's fine. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much. And then final item before we move on to reports. If you remember, members at the AGM, there was Councillor James very kindly said that he would consider being representative on the college's advisory forum, but just needed a bit more information. I'm delighted to say that Mike has agreed to take this role forward. So it's just to confirm Councillor James as the authority's representative on Pembrokeshire College Advisory Forum. Simon.
Thank you, Chair. I'm more than happy to move that.
Thank you very much. You have a seconder there? Sam, I think. Thank you very much. Just beat a whole host of other people to the draw. Members, I think we probably do need to vote on this. It was we voted at the AGM for appointments. So if I can see your hands, please. Thank you. I think that's a full house. Llongyfarchiadau, Mike, diolch yn fawr iawn. So we'll move on to the agenda report on the agenda. So the first one is 2925. This is the revised corporate and resources plan and delivery plans. These are revisions that have taken place this year from the 23-24 to 26-27 plan. And our Performance and Compliance Officer, Maya Thomas, is going to take us through these. Croeso, Maya.
Diolch, Cadeirydd. So the authority approved its Corporate and Resources Plan 2023-24 to 2026-27 and delivery plans at the July 2023 National Park Authority meeting. The plans are subject to annual review during the plan's timeframe, and minor amendments have been applied to delivery plans previously as part of this process. However, a more detailed review of the plans has been carried out in 2025 to take account of the approval of the partnership plan, project funding updates, review of progress and priorities with senior leadership, financial pressures and resilience, risk areas, learning from the first 2 years of implementation, and the proposed introduction of Welsh Government indicators. A new performance framework will be put in place to support changes within the plans. The introduction report outlines the key changes that have been applied to the documents. An integrated assessment was completed as part of the review process, including taking account of the authority's revised equality plan approved in 2025. The corporate and resources plan and delivery plans play an important role in supporting the authority to deliver against its wellbeing objectives. Keeping these plans up to date to reflect wider developments help ensure that the documents remain relevant and are effective in guiding the authority's activities. The authority is recommended to approve the Corporate and Resources Plan 2023-24 to 2026-27, revised for 2025, and the delivery plans, and provide delegated authority to officers to apply any minor amendments agreed during the meeting or incorporate as necessary any minor changes as needed and amendments required following final agreement of Welsh Government indicators.
Diolch, Maya. Members, any questions or any points for Maya? Rosie, Dr. Plummer.
Thank you. I had a bit of an interchange with Maya, and on some changes. It was really useful to see it early. So thank you, Maya, for having sent it to us previously. And thank you too for presenting it to us now with the track changes, because it means you can kind of see where it's changed. It makes it really useful. It highlights for us where the differences are. And I'm very comfortable with it and very happy to move the recommendation if that's helpful, Chair. Thank you.
That is helpful, Rosie. Can I have a seconder for that? Or I'm happy to second, actually. So, Di, your hand went up as well straight away. So if we have Di as seconder. Maya, I too have got a very, very minor list of amendments which I will send to you. And as with Rosie, I've found the track changes really helpful. I was particularly pleased, I think, in the delivery plans to see the read across to comments from Audit Wales. I think that's really helpful and shows what a responsive organisation we are when we do get these comments. Members, any other points or questions? This is a really important document for us, and it's really pleasing to see the way that the delivery plans across silos, I suppose is a rude word to use, but cross departments, and really make sure that we are delivering the appropriate ways of working, as well as important pieces of work. So, members, I've got a proposer and a seconder. I'd be pleased. Gwyn, your hand is up. Is that to vote?
I was just
a comment?
No,
Have you got a comment, Gwyn?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can indeed.
Thank you. Yeah, tremendous amount of information in this. I want us to wade through it. So you can pick up on some aspects other than others, but what I found particularly helpful is that at the very end of the last paragraph of the document, it has a glossary. There are about 14 acronyms there. That kind of thing would be very useful to be thought about when preparing other papers. That's all, really.
Indeed, our love of acronyms is such that we very often need to be reminded of them. Really helpful presentation, Maya, as Gwyn has highlighted.
I just want to say thank you to Rosie, who recommended the inclusion of a glossary. So I think it's something that we can take forward for future documents. So thank you, Rosie, for the suggestion. And it's positive to see that members found it useful.
Brilliant, brilliant. Diolch yn fawr. All right, members, I think nobody else has shown they want to comment. So I'll go to the vote on that, please. All in favour? That should be a full house. Yes, thank you very much. So we won't go through abstentions or against. It's unanimous. Thank you very much, Maya. Thank you as always for your huge amount of work. It's seems like we skim through these things very quickly at the meetings, but as I pointed out by Rosie, the opportunity to see it early was really, really helpful. And also the ability for us to see where the changes are. And we're very pleased to accept those. So we move on to the next report, 3025. This is the annual Partnership Framework Monitoring Report for 24-25 and approval of a new partnership framework. And again, we come to you, Maya, to lead on this. Thank you.
So this is the Cadeiras. So this is the second annual Partnership Framework Monitoring Report for members and covers the 2024-25 financial year. The report does not cover all the authority's collaborative or partnership work, but focuses on our significant partnerships that contribute to our delivery of our strategic priorities. This includes where the authority makes financial contributions in support of a partnership arrangement or is in receipt of funding through a partnership. RAG status has been included in the report for each partnership with comparison RAG status for 2023-24. A RAG explanation table has also been included following members' request from last year's report. Most partnerships are in green with 4 in amber. The classification of these in amber mainly relates to future risks linked to partnership ability to resource them. Following members' feedback on last year's report, a category has been added for each partnership to provide wider context to the status of the partnership, kind of in terms of if it's a legal partnership or the different nature of those different partnerships. A partnership framework is set out in Appendix 1 of the report. It was presented in draft format with last year's report and has been updated to reflect changes following approval of the partnership plan at the March 2025 National Park Authority meeting. Having a partnership framework in place helps support good governance and manage risk for the authority when engaging with partners. Members are asked today to formally approve the partnership framework and comment and note on the partnership framework monitoring report 2024-25.
Diolch, Maya, and again, really showing, I think, the extent of engagement, both of officers and indeed members. Very important and quite eye-opening document, really, I think, bringing it all together like this. Dr. Plummer, Rosie.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, it's very thorough, and I confess I haven't given it as much attention on this time for this meeting, before this meeting, as I would have liked to have done. So I might give some specifics to Maya, as I usually do afterwards. Just a couple of thoughts. I thought it was really interesting to see the RAG status, and I was a little bit sort of askance as to whether that would be useful. But actually, it was, I thought, and it pointed to some of the pinch points, like the difficulty we have over our shared planning ecologist role, for example. So I thought it was surprisingly useful. Likewise, the identification of the lead officers. I guess I was slightly surprised not to see NRW anywhere as a significant partner, given, perhaps in corporate partnerships 2.8, 2.9, because it is pretty fundamental to much of what we do, cross-cutting ways. Funding for Coast Path and etc. And then that set me thinking about whether both HENEB and the National Trust might also go in there. But those are just thoughts, and I'll just perhaps give some further thinking to my, afterwards. Thank you, Chair. I'm very happy to recommend that we accept, subject to the the minor details that Maya will put in.
Yeah. Thank you, Rosie. It's really helpful, I think, and perhaps Maya would like to come back on the way that it's framed as to whether NRW would be seen as a separate partner or throughout the partnerships they've been identified, I suspect. But Maya.
Yeah, so we've created a kind of partnership framework matrix to go alongside this for senior management team to look at. So what I can do is begin to ask that question of them when they look at reviewing it. So are these our current key ones? Do we want them added in terms of it? I think particularly perhaps around some of the things to do when we look at our conservation wellbeing and the partnership plan, particularly NRW, I think National Trust, there's some work going on there, so they will grow. So I think it'll kind of give us an opportunity each year to really work with them to say, okay, have we got it right in terms of who are there missing partners? Are those ones that we want to kind of further develop? I also think with the creation of the kind of the work going on to develop a partnership plan for this is also an area where we'll see different kind of partnership working develop through that. So I think that this is a good opportunity for you to flag potential areas that we need to explore. So that's really useful. Thank you.
Diolch, Maya. Simon.
Diolch yn fawr. Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to ask, well, yeah, two questions. 7.1 on page 192, it says that no integrated impact assessment had been completed, and I thought that sounded a bit strange. By the way, it's a fantastic report, and it just shows you how much work is being done, the breadth and the richness of the activity undertaken by a small organisation like the Pembrokeshire Coast National Park Authority is quite simply staggering, the value and the connectivity of these partnerships. So I wanted to ask about, it says that no integrated assessment had been completed, which I thought seemed a bit strange. So I wanted to ask about that. Is there any self-evaluation on what partners think of us? I mean, you know, we're listing all this activity with a myriad of different partners and organisations that we work with to deliver our objectives. Is there any sort of feedback or mechanism to understand how partners value our sort of working with us? And lastly, I was really, really pleased to see on page 224 reference to Heritage Watch. And we know about the damage that was done to the Bronze Age Circle a few weeks ago, unfortunately. So I've taken this up with the police and I spoke to the Commissioner. And I'm really pleased to say that they're now expressing interest. They've asked for expressions of interest from Chief Inspector and superintendents across the force for somebody to take on that role, because the police take it very seriously indeed. And so hopefully there'll be a new officer in post soon whose remit will include heritage crime, which I know the park takes really seriously. Thank you.
Thank you for that update, Simon. That's really helpful. Maya, can you answer the 2 points about the integrated assessment and feedback from partners on us?
Yeah, so I think with the integrated assessment, we didn't carry out one because of its more of a report nature. So we didn't kind of look at it in that kind of context of it. However, that could be something that we could explore kind of along with the kind of partnership matrix as well to assess where the risk areas are for us. So potentially I could do that perhaps as part of developing the report for next year, if you feel that would be helpful. So I could add that in as an action for kind of next year's report and kind of link that in as well to inform the kind of partnership matrix as we further develop that. And stakeholders have been involved sometimes with internal audit related activities. So I think particularly when we did the one on sustainable tourism, there were aspects where they were kind of asked questions and they will engage with stakeholders. We haven't done anything ourselves, so that could be a potential area that I could explore with senior leadership team to see. I think with the kind of tools like Microsoft Forms, it shouldn't be, if we developed a kind of set of questions, it shouldn't be too difficult to potentially administer that. So we just need to perhaps think about what those key targets are and work with link officers to make sure we've got the correct people within organisations to kind of target that survey. So I can explore that further with senior leadership and management team.
That's great, thank you.
It's a really important point, Simon. Thank you for raising it. And Maya, I think very useful to explore. Obviously, we get this report and we're thinking, gosh, we're doing a lot of work with partners, but it's really important to make sure that the partners find the work that we're doing with them helpful as well. So I know you have a huge amount on your plate, but yes, talking to the senior team about that and potential for the future would be really helpful. Councillor Clements.
Thanks, Chair, and another great report, Maya, so well done. and really, really useful. I find this one fascinating and useful to understand where else our sort of fingers go within the organisation, if you like, around the county. You said about the amber is usually there because of financial. I think you said in your original part of your introduction. So I'm just looking at the joint planning ecologist, and is it because are you concerned about PCC's sort of financial situation or our own, that we won't have enough people there to do that job? Because obviously that's going to be quite well, it continues to be important and will continue to be more important, I suspect, as time goes on. So I'm just wondering, what are we doing about that? Because the development management team have raised concerns about the resilience, haven't they? So is that because of financial, or just we don't have the bods on the ground coming through, basically?
I don't know if Sarah's on this call, but I think this one's probably less than the other ones, a more kind of standard kind of feature on the finance one. But I think it probably is about that capacity issue in terms of potentially. I think Emma's got a comment.
Yeah, thank you. That might have been because we were a planning ecologist down, but there's been successful recruitment into that post. So now we are sort of up to date, and we've got full complement then of planning ecologist support at the moment. So that's positive, but there is going to be significant sort of pressure in that area, because we've got recent guidance from NRW on marine special areas of conservation. So there continues to be some sort of pressure on planning ecologists as well. But we do have 2 planning ecologists, and we do have an agreement with Pembrokeshire County Council that they are shared with the authority.
So thank you, Emma. So if you don't mind me, through you, Chair, that would probably be green now then, if it was sort of today's, but bearing in mind that we need to consider that for the future as well. So keep an eye on that one, basically. Thank you, Chair.
Yes, capacity is always an issue, isn't it, when we're down to 1 or 2 members of specialist staff. So, but I think the partnership sharing has certainly been very, very beneficial for both organisations. So thank you, Di, for that, and thank you, Emma. Mike, Councillor James.
Diolch yn fawr, Cadeirydd. Diolch i Mair eto am y gwaith arbennig.
Thank you, Mair, for the excellent work, and always to a very high standard. Thank you, Mair. May I just begin on page 27, the Cleddau Nutrient Management. Will any work be undertaken on the River Tavy, because the nutrient comes out there at Poppet Sands on the estuary, and people swim there in Trewyddell, in Cemmaes Head. Will there also be focus on the Tavy also? And then page 225. Oh, I've gone a bit too far. I beg your pardon.
Yeah, can even in.
Here we are. Page 225, the Pembrokeshire Rights of Way. The officer, Mr. Richards, he is now retired. I just wanted to ask, perhaps Tegrin can help me out here, but has there been any progress with the appointment to fill this vacancy? And then 228.
Yn 228.
228.
Pembrokeshire Water Safety Forum.
The Pembrokeshire Water Safety Forum.
O'n i'n meddwl ch'mod
I was just thinking,
lan hefyd gyda ti'r
I
toiledau,
wanted to raise the toilets.
falle dwi'n bod trafod wedi bod
I know there has been some discussion
cyngor cymuned Llandudno a
between St Dogmell's Community Council and the Chief Executive.
dweud o a pwy toiledau.
I wonder whether there's any update on the toilets.
Wrth gwrs, mae hwnna wedi yn dod mlaen yn
And this
ynglwm gyda
ties
y
in
water safety.
with water safety.
Mae ddrwg 'da fi wedi colli papurau.
Sorry, I'd lost my papers, beg your pardon, but I hope that the questions make sense. Oh, if anyone can help me out at all, I'd be very grateful. Mair, thank you so much again.
Diolch, Mike. Fi'n credu falle bydd
Thank you, Mike. I think
Emma'n gallu
Emma
ymateb y cwestiwn
might
am
be able to
the
respond to the
Nutrient
question about the
Management
Nutrient Management Board and the
gall
River and
Tegrin
perhaps
rhoi ymateb
Tegrin
ynglŷn â'r
can respond
swyddog
as regards the
ynglŷn â'r
access
trafodaethau
officer
ynglŷn â'r
and the
toilediau.
discussions
Bydd hynny'n
around the
iawn.
toilets. Is that okay?
Diolch yn fawr chi, Mike.
Excellent, yes, thank you, Mair.
Tegrin?
Okay, do you want to go first, Emma?
No, sorry, I was going to apologise. I was in the middle of doing something else. Could you repeat the question about the management boards, please? Sorry.
Yeah, just saying that when o'n i'n gofyn achos bod
I was asking because the cleddau is included in this report. Is there any work being undertaken on the River Tavy? Because
yn yr estuary a Poppet Sands,
the
mae pobl yn nofio
Tavy then is the estuary is at Poppet Sands and people swim at Moyle Grove and Poppet Sands, and the standard of the water is very important.
Yes, diolch, Mike. Apologies. Yes, there are 3 nutrient management boards. So one covering the Cleddau, the Tavy and the Towie, and I'm happy to pass on relevant details to you, Mike, on the work that they're doing and the recent reports that they've prepared as well.
Diolch yn fawr iawn. Thank you so much.
Yeah, diolch i chi. Y ddoi arall, swyddog reolwr
Two other topics, the access manager officer. It's been rather challenging. It's a specialist area. I think it's only 500 people who are members of the professional body. We've advertised for the second time. There is a candidate that we'll be interviewing in the coming weeks. With a bit of luck, we shall have good news soon. As regards, well, I think that water safety is more to do with the safety of those who use the water rather than the quality of the water. And of course, there is a lot of dialogue taking place to promote safe use of the waters for those who enjoy themselves in the sea. And in terms of Poppet, things are moving very slowly there, and it's very challenging for us to reach an agreement on anything. So our idea is that we create some sort of, well, we spend some time to discuss this with people and to come up with some sort of plan, and this will form the basis for further funding bids moving forward. I've had a positive response from the community recently. Jess is away. When she's back in the coming weeks, she will be progressing with this, so we hope that we can have the discussions out of the way and then everyone will buy into a scheme that we can proceed with. Thank you, Tegrin. And if there's anything at all that I can do to help with what you've just discussed, I'll be more than happy to help out. Thank you so much.
Diolch. Sam now.
Thank you, Chair. Maya, just to, again, thank you for the reports. Page 211 and 212, just want to say thank you for the detailed report you've done regarding the transportation. regarding the bus services in particular, which obviously is something which is very important to where we are and where we live in Pembrokeshire. I think the detail there, you know, is obviously very self-explanatory. It's good to have when asked questions also. And also for the work that I know has been ongoing for the additional routes that they have been looking at as well, which also covers not only tourists, but also locals alike to get them from A to B with jobs and so on. So that's really important. And I meant to say before, I did like one of the comments that you made about PCNPA being the natural health service. It really is indeed. And I think what you've encapsulated here is really good. So very well done, and thank you very much for this. It's really important. Thank you.
Thanks, Sam. Very positive feedback there, Maya. So thank you again. I've just got one comment about the proposed partnership plan forum, our management plan that is now called the partnership plan, rightly so, because we can only deliver with our partners. It looks like it's an officer-led forum, and I just wondered whether it might be helpful to have members involved as well, but it would be worth just perhaps taking that back and seeing what the feeling of the senior team is on that, if you can. Thank you very much. So I've got Emma and Di wanting to come in now. So Emma, please.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Yes, just to say that we are in sort of setting up a partnership group then to guide the partnership plan, and it has been suggested that we have members involved in that as well. So yes, we would welcome members' involvement in that, and we'll discuss, you know, suitable sort of membership and things like that. Thank you.
Excellent. I'm sure you'll get volunteers for that particular area. Thank you very much. Di, Councillor Clements.
Apologies, Chair. I knew there was another thing that I'd forgotten. The toilet working group, actually, is it amber because the funding will be running out in March 26, or is it because we're not sort of having that joint conversation so much with PCC that we might need to try and keep those other toilets open that we're currently sort of subsidising, if you like, but they're mindful that time is potentially running out there. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, and it carries on from Mike's concerns as well. Tegrin, you've raised your hands there. Perhaps you can answer rather than leaving Mara in the hot seat.
Yeah, I don't know if there is an answer, and I think Jess and Sarah are leading on this, and they're neither right here. I think it's amber because of you know, it is a challenging funding situation. As much as we are aspiring to improve the standard of some of our toilets, there's still a basic cleaning and a maintenance cost to it. I would suggest that there will need to, well, I think our current funding arrangement will come to an end in just over 6 months. Therefore, we will definitely need to be having conversations there, and I'm not sure I've seen a drastic change to where we were when we last discussed it, if I'm totally honest with you. There, although, you know, I would like to say positive work has been done in a number of areas to find alternative solutions, but yeah, I think it might come up in another discussion later on as a long-term issue.
Tegrin, I think all members would encourage you to ask Sarah and Jess to push with colleagues that they're meeting with. We don't want to be in the position where we're in a last minute situation with some of our toilets being under threat again without having a clear plan. We did have a clear plan, we agreed it, we've taken it forward, but we are still in the position where there is not enough funding to enable these vital facilities to be maintained. And I'm assuming that PCC is probably going to come to us with the same response on that, but we do need to be discussing with them timescales and future, as well as the very particular issues that we discussed and planned when the group was set up and when the approval for the additional funding was given as well. Councillor Clements.
Yeah, sorry, coming back there. I'm just mindful that perhaps some of those toilets that we've continued to subsidise on behalf of PCC, because obviously we don't maintain toilets, and we've done that because we understand the importance of those facilities. But I'm just mindful that, you know, a lot of these shut, or some of them may shut in the autumn, so potentially they may not reopen again. So if that's the case, we need to have sight of that as quickly as possible, because I mean, we're August now, aren't we? You know, in a couple of months. So there's a bit of urgency here, I think, to at least have some you know, definite information. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Di. All right, members, I think we've aired a number of issues there, Maya. Thank you again for very clear and very useful report. Rosie, I had you as proposing it. Do I have a seconder, please? Yes, Simon, thank you very much. Councillor Hancock to second. So members, we're noting the partnership framework report, but we are approving the partnership framework. So I'd like to see your hands for that approval, please. Thank you very much, members. That's unanimous. Diolch fawr mawr unwaith eto. Okay, we'll move on to 3125. This is the Oriela Park Partnership Agreement with Amgueddfa Cymru to approve the renewal of the 5-year partnership agreement between ourselves and Amgueddfa. And Tegrin, this is for you to present, I think. Thank you.
Yeah, diolch yn fawr iawn I chi yn cyflwyno hwn yn absenoldeb. Claire.
Thank you very much. I'm presenting this in Claire's absence. We have visitors from the National Gallery talking about a rather interesting scheme that I hope will emerge. So it's down to me to present this. Since the establishment of Oriela Park, just shy of 20 years ago now, there is an agreement that has evolved with us, with the National Museum. To some extent, it deals with the finer detail of the partnership rather than something more strategic, who does what and so forth. So we have had discussions with the museum in the past few months, and an agreement is now in place. It's been agreed with the museum board, so it's up to you as members, hopefully, to agree on this or to make any comments. We are aware that there's a lot of noise around the Park Authority, and perhaps diplomatically speaking, this is the strongest message that we can send to people as regards our commitment to secure a viable future for Oriela Park. But I'm happy to take questions or comments or to take on any further ideas.
Diolch, Tegrin. Indeed, it was delightful at the launch of Morwellian to have the chance to meet not only the new chief exec and a couple of the senior team from the museum, but the chair as well, and the strength of unity in our purpose and the use of the gallery at Oriel Park to really showcase the best art from the national collection and also reflecting Pembrokeshire people and visitors to Pembrokeshire. It was really heartening, and especially in such a particularly great exhibition as well. Although I have to say, the diversity of exhibitions that we've had at Oriel over the last 6 years since I've been involved, but much longer than that, have been really fascinating. And I think our purpose there is to meet so many people's objectives and ambitions, and I think that we manage really well. I would like to thank the team of staff at Oriel Park, but also the team at Amgueddfa. They work really closely, and I think the plans for the next 5 years are already going ahead, as well as our opportunity here to formalise the way we work, which is, as Tegrin says, a renewal of this memorandum of understanding, really. We've got a couple of people who want to comment. Simon, Councillor Hancock.
Thank you. Well, I'm a huge supporter of Oriel Park. I was around when it opened back in 2008, and I'm really pleased to see the continuation of this MOU with the Amgueddfa Cymru. I suppose the worry I have, this is a 5-year agreement. How much of this is contingent on public funding? I mean, if I can say that the heritage sector hasn't been exactly well treated in recent years in terms of cuts to culture. I know Amgueddfa Cymru had a really poor settlement a couple of years ago. So and the trajectory of public funding isn't looking very healthy or rosy in the next few years. So how much of this, of the undertakings that Amgueddfa Cymru are in terms of, I'm looking at page 270 of our report, how much of this is contingent on them being adequately funded? And what happens if they have a really poor settlement and they have to look at the undertakings and partnership agreements that they have with ourselves, but other organisations across Wales? Is there any sort of fallback or future proofing of this arrangement?
Well, Simon, I note that Tegrin's raised his hand, but I will just say, as a previous trustee of Amgueddfa Cymru, I know that their relatively newly adopted strategy it's really important that they are reaching out to all of Wales. And I know from talking to the team there, the chair and the staff team, our partnership is a particularly important one for them, to enable them to discharge their requirements from Welsh Government. So yeah, I mean, there has been some difficult settlements, but personally, I think that this piece of paper just consolidates a partnership that is very active and will continue to happen. It's in part of their curatorial staff's work programme, as it's with our work programme. So I'm as confident as any public sector organisation could be that this will go forward in the future. It's a really important part of government strategy, as well as the Amgueddfa's strategy. But Tegrin, perhaps you'd just like to come in there. Unmute, sorry.
I remove my hand instead of the a mic. Not a lot I can add to that. I suppose from a purely governance practical things, as you'd expect, there are break clauses in agreements like this, and they work on both sides of things. But as Madeline has mentioned, we've had very little to no indication that there is going to be an issue over the duration of this. But we live in uncertain times, but as much as we can say, we should be fine.
Yeah, it is an exceptionally important partnership, and it's of mutual benefit to ourselves and also to Amgueddfa Cymru in terms of their vision and their 2030 strategy. Thank you, Chair.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Simon. Thank you. So Rosie and then Mike.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I mean, echoing it is clearly such a valuable partnership. It's sort of fundamental at so many levels, and it's clear we must support its extension. And I wanted to echo with your comment, Chair, about the diversity of the exhibitions and the materials that we have as a result of this partnership. That mean we interact with the widest possible community of stakeholders, not solely those from the fine arts sphere, but much more broadly than that. I know I've come in for criticism on interpretation of that point in the past when we've discussed it at operational review. You know, fine art absolutely has the place, but it's the widest context in our interaction with the communities and drawing people into galleries who are different constituencies as well through what we offer. And as you say, the team have done some remarkable work. I'm also pleased to hear, Tegra, your mention of a sort of wider potential developments and the prospects of perhaps an even more strategic approach beyond this, which is rather the operational one and captures, you know, who does what with when and where. I would be keen to see sort of an overt mention of our joint ambitions of sustainability, reusability of exhibition materials, and just thinking about how we're plotting forward to with the exhibition schedule to encompass both our wider strategic aims of both organisations and more broadly. But obviously it sounds as if that's kind of in hand. That said, just a couple of sort of grunges. One is I find it odd when we're asked to approve something in its final form, which has already been approved by another organisation. So it's almost a fait accompli. You know, we're sort of not. It's almost a paper exercise, and I find that slightly odd. I hadn't seen where there were any changes from previous, and again, in the same way Maya did track changes, it would be useful to have a sense of where have there been changes or what the changes might have been. I was kind of surprised to see the standard conditions attached, because section 9 of that refers to sort of costs of the organisation, so it seemed at odds with the main agreement, but you know, there it is. And absolutely finally, you know, given our important recognition of EDI ambitions that are properly reflected in our agenda wording on item 5 of our current agenda, and our current and our most recent chair, I do trust that she won't endorse a document without tweaking the PCMPA signatory's title, which is currently identified as chairman.
Rosie, I have to say that had already been picked up. Thank you very much. On the point about the meetings, inevitably 2 organisations meetings aren't going to sync, and we've held off on.
We could see it as draft. We could see it as a draft, and then, you know, everybody's going to sign the same document.
Yes, and but it needs approval by both boards, basically. So it has been approved by one. There has been no announcement and no publicity. After today, if members are minded to approve, then we will then be able to announce this to the wider world. I think it's just one of those issues of timing with our boards. We could have been first, but as it was, Amgueddfa got in there first. And I know that we are having those long-term planning meetings. I think there's one coming up, whereas you know, we will be looking to the longer term. And just to reassure you, I know that the exhibitions and the materials used in the exhibitions, not themselves, but the information boards and so on, are always recycled in the best possible way, i.e. they're reused. So we are passing things on to various people as appropriate, and that's happened with all our exhibitions. So, but certainly the agreement is on many levels with Amgueddfa. Thank you very much. Mike, Councillor James.
Diolch yn fawr, Cadeirydd. Di gweld bod llaw Tegrin lan.
Thank you, Chair. I see that Tegrin's hand is up. Okay, right, thank you. Just a brief question. I remember when I was chair, there was a partnership in place with a museum outside of Wales in London, and was it Constable or something like that? Might it be possible to establish something in a similar vein again, or? Thank you.
Diolch, Mike. Indeed, the constable did come to Oriel Park and was very successful. It was after it had been bought for the nation. It toured all the nations, I understand, and after going to Amgueddfa, we were lucky enough to have it in Oriel. I think, Tegrin, you mentioned that indeed you have been speaking to somebody from the National Gallery recently, but perhaps you could just expand on that a little.
Yeah, Cymryd Mike, just i weid, hyd yn oed gyda ni
Mike. We had two pieces of work from Kate dating back to this period, and I would like to say one of them came through the museum. So this is based on an agreement of this nature, and they do this work rather than ourselves approaching the Tate directly. So there are different opportunities available, and we've always stated clearly that we are extremely open
i derbyn unrhyw waith o safon.
To take on any high quality work. There is a 4 or 5 year plan in place as regards the discovery of the Roman chariot in the area. So it is hoped that this will form the basis of an exhibition in 2 to 3 years' time. So it's rather interesting and unique there. With regards to the visit today, I think rather than having art within a gallery, we're talking about art within the environment and in the landscape. So if things go well during that visit, we'll have more to report on this in the coming weeks. Thank you.
Diddorol, very interesting, Tegrin. That's a good teaser for us. Mike, you happy with that response? Yeah. Simon, Stephen first, somebody who's had a discovery exhibited in Oriel Park, I believe. So, Councillor Alderman.
You've just stolen my thunder. I was just about to bring that up. It was my first visit to Oriel Park as a park member, and I was delighted to be reconnected with an artifact I found some 35, 40 years ago in the field during a very busy day drilling. And I was amazed to see how far it had got, because I was asked by my wife to remove it from the kitchen, or she was off. My father took it on, and it ended up in Scolton Manor as far as I was concerned. And it's been moved from there with people who have inspected it more and more. And it just provides a wonderful link with the fact that how busy it was on this peninsula of Wales 4,500, 5,000 years ago. And it's been backed up recently with the Greenlick Interconnect, where the first thing they found there was a stone and houses and fire pits and things. So, for me, it's a positive, this Amgueddfa Cymru partnership, and I'd be delighted, as I say, I was absolutely amazed by that, and delighted to see how far these things do go. Thank you.
Indeed, everybody's got a treasure in the national collection, or at least Councillor Alderman. Thank you very much. Simon.
Thank you. Well, I cannot wait to see that chariot. I was there at the excavation in March 2019. So if it's at Oriel Park, then I think it will bring them in the droves. So that's a wonderful, wonderful plan. It was amiss of me. I wanted to move the recommendation, Chair, that we renew the 5-year agreement with Amgueddfa Cymru. So I'm happy to move that.
Diolch, Simon. Thank you very much. Di, your hand is raised as well.
I'm happy to second that, but it's interesting, isn't it? Sometimes we forget why we have such places. And I was just looking at the Oriel Park aims, and although we work with Amgueddfa Cymru, the three of those aims are specifically about Pembrokeshire, and we must never forget that. That's why it was built. To inspire people to discover Pembrokeshire, to promote National Park Authority priorities, and to link the wider Pembrokeshire landscape, culture and heritage with a unique visitor experience. And, Amgueddfa can we have a part to play in that? I mean, bringing some of their items so people can see those things. But primarily for me, that is really important, that it's about Pembrokeshire. So yes, very happy to second it. And I note that there's only, I think, one exhibition per year is what is sort of guaranteed, isn't it? And I know there's been a bit of criticism previously because, if locals go, they don't want to see the same thing for a year. But sounds like there's some exciting things coming along anyway. So I'm looking forward to that. But just to, we must never forget why it's there. And what it stands for. So just wanted to say that. Thank you, Chair.
Oh, thanks, Di. Yes, a very timely reminder. And I think that's part of the work of the two teams, is to ensure that it's Pembrokeshire led, but having the opportunity to see some of the great items that are in the National Collection. I think the chariot is going to be a couple of years hence, but yes, really exciting for us all to anticipate that. And of course, our staff do a magnificent job in the temporary exhibitions that change frequently, and the exhibitions in the tower, and the work that goes on in the tower as well. So hopefully there's enough to change, and the exhibitions are also well worth visiting 2 or 3 times, I think, in many cases. So I've had a proposer, Councillor Simon Hancock, and a seconder, Councillor Di Clements, that we should approve the renewal of this partnership agreement with Amgueddfa Cymru. Can I see everybody's hands raised in the usual fashion, please? Thank you, members. That's again unanimous. So we're delighted that we'll be able to confirm with Amgueddfa that we've given the go-ahead for that. So we'll move on to report 3225. This is to make a decision on whether to provide financial support to Visit Pembrokeshire for the period 2026 to 2029. And again, this is Tegrin to lead on this. Members, a number of you declared personal interests on this item. Can you just confirm at the start of this item that they are personal, not prejudicial, and you are able to take part in any discussions? So Tim, Vanessa and Chris, welcome to the meeting. You didn't declare at the start because you weren't here. I'm not sure whether you're declaring now or just making aware that you are in the meeting now. So Tim, just quickly.
Yeah, I'd just like to make a personal a thing on this because sorry. As I sat in as a reserve member for recent scrutiny meetings, so like to a personal on this.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, because PCC have obviously discussed this very recently. Vanessa, I believe your declaration is the same.
Yeah, same again, as you say. Thank you, Chair. Personal, just because I've sat in on that same meeting as Tim. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Chris?
Yeah, I'm the same, but I'm going to abstain from voting. Since the meeting last week, I've been contacted by Emma Thornton, so she's going to come to Saundersfoot to meet me.
Okay.
Obviously with my concerns, so I will abstain from this vote.
Fair enough. Thank you very much indeed. And Angie, Councillor Tinley.
Thank you. Yes, I chaired a meeting last week concerning this matter, so I would like to abstain from voting because I did voice a certain opinion during that meeting.
Thank you very much. Can I just check with the monitoring officer? It's all right for Councillor Tinley and Councillor Williams to remain in the meeting, I'm sure, but just to check whether they should voice any opinions when they have already said they're not going to vote.
Yes, it's rather awkward really, because I mean, clearly if they were just declaring a personal interest, then they could remain and vote. What they've done is to sort of suggest that they feel that perhaps their interest is more than personal and therefore they wish to abstain. So it would be helpful if they could decide whether or not their interest is personal or personal and prejudicial.
I think I will leave the meeting, and I think that'll be the best all round, to be honest, because I'm undecided, and it's important I meet Emma, but obviously that's not going to help today.
Thank you, Chris. Fair enough.
If we can just remind Councillor Williams that, of course, he can, if he wishes. Well, he's not speaking, is he? So it doesn't matter. No, that's fine.
And Angie, Councillor Tinley.
So I would like to listen to the meeting, just not take part in it, just because I chaired such a meeting last week, and I also voiced an opinion, and I don't want to discuss anything about that in this meeting to dissuade or sway any of the voting. So I'll just abstain and listen if that's okay.
Thank you. I mean, abstention is actually a vote, isn't it?
Yeah.
you are making a decision, but yeah. I think that's fine actually for both of you to remain in the meeting. If you're not going to contribute, I won't invite either of you to contribute if that's all right.
Okay.
And then we have the understanding that you won't be voting at the end. Thank you very much. Tegrin, over to you, please.
Yeah, diolch yn fawr. Ychydig o gyd-destun I ddechrau.
Just a little context to begin with. About 5 or 6 years ago now, we went through a process to establish public and private and third sector company to take an overview and to take responsibility over tourism in Pembrokeshire. The tourism section of the County Council became assimilated with Croeso Sir Benfro, the new company, and we, as an authority, supported this development. And the collaboration with the third sector bodies such as Planet. I must say, even back then, there was a saving for the county council, but I never believed that there would be a financial saving for ourselves as an authority, because our tourism work cuts across the entire organisation, so it wasn't possible for us to take one section and merge this. Originally, we wanted to provide some in-kind support, as there was some specific funding available. As the organisation evolved, it became apparent that it would be better for us to contribute money rather than our staff members' time, and that has been the prevailing situation over the past few years. I believe we had some ideas 5 or 6 years ago as to how this body would develop. I believe that it's been rather challenging to establish and to develop this new body. We have a director, Di, on the board, and I must confess that she, more than anyone, has been responsible for the fact that Croeso Sir Benfro focuses on sustainability and has ensured that it has more members, and much of our support over the past few years has been in the form of contributing to this. So I think we're in a much better position now than they were a few years ago. But it is very apparent that this is not a body that could stand on its own 2 feet without public support. Therefore, there is a request for funding over the next 3 financial years. The County Council has gone through a process, and I know that some of you have declared an interest in the wake of this. It's relevant. On the other hand, it's not relevant. This is our decision solely. Though the County Council has made a decision, our decision is entirely independent of the decision of the County Council. I believe that there are significant advantages. The tourism industry is one of the 3 main industries of the area and the county, so it demonstrates support to the tourism industry, and I believe that we've invested significantly over the years in terms of people's time and funding and so forth, and I would like us to build upon this rather than not building upon this, and that there'll be a deterioration in the performance of Croeso Sir Benfro. Also, I believe that there is uncertainty as regards the financial future of tourism in the wake of the introduction of the visitor levy. Now, Pembrokeshire County Council have said that they will not introduce anything until after the 2027 election, which is fair enough. But the process thereafter is that we think there will be a year's discussions and decisions to be made with any new administration within the County Council. Then we will need a year's notice before anything is introduced. This is why we're talking possibly about up to 2029. Unfortunately, we won't have any decision on the introduction of a levy. However, I think that continuing to support the things through our support to Croeso Sir Benfro, I think this is essential to strengthen our voice when the time comes and to ensure a viable future for the tourism industry. They are the positive reasons. I must put forward the less positive reasons. We must save money, and we have a list. And this is one item on our list. And of course, if you continue to fund this, then it will no longer be on the list. I propose, to all intents and purposes, and given everything, that continuing to fund this will be advantageous to the authority and to the area and to the tourism industry. Therefore, I would recommend that we continue. However, I've put forward 3 or 4 ideas there, or rather options, and to be completely honest with you, if anyone wants to propose an alternative option, I'm sure that we can consider that also. So I'm more than happy to answer any questions, and I'd be very interested to receive your comments and your ultimate decision.
Tegrin, yes, the paper is very clear. The 4 options you've given are also very clear, but as you say, it will be important to get feedback from members. The first person I'm going to ask to speak is Di Clements, Councillor Clements, who sits on Visit Pembrokeshire, and then I'll come to Dr. Plummer.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I didn't know whether you wanted me to speak first, but since I'm your representative or Parks representative on this, I think it might be helpful. Yeah, there's a lot going on actually. When you start reading and going over, I jotted down all the things that I thought we as park members or as an organisation try and achieve. And I cross-referenced that with what Visit Pembrokeshire have done. I actually was very pleasantly surprised. It's not until you actually sit down and work it all out that you think, well, actually, those are our core purposes. These are our priorities. This is what we should be doing. So, you know, we've done Visit Pembrokeshire rather has in the last couple of weeks, you know, promoted water safety so people enjoy the water. They're coming to Pembrokeshire by train with the Transport for Wales project, encouraging sustainable transport, promoting areas outside of the honeypot. So, you know, taking people away from Tenby, Saundersfoot, St David's. So spreading people more across the whole of the parks, which is, you know, an ambition of ours. Access to all. You know, one of our core reasons for being is promoting the park, and you've only got to go on the Visit Pembrokeshire website or have regular updates from email updates, and I would urge all of you to have those. Then you will see the messaging that's going out there, and because we've got that, or me on the board or a person from Parks on the board, we're able to push our priorities, and I think that is coming through. It's taken time. Yes, it's not been as quick as we'd have liked, but you know, we started or Visit Pembrokeshire started up in COVID, and it wasn't so easy. But I think finally found feet. Also been very sort of what's the word? I've pushed very much about getting more members, and that you can see that's also increasing. You know, more than half the members, half the funding is now by members, by private. So and the bigger companies coming. So the ambassadors. There's real progress been made, I think, in the last year. Mindful though that, you know, if we were to stop funding, that's a huge part of that as well. And if you think about it, I was thinking about £25,000 seems a lot, I know, but actually, what is it? Half a person from probably an officer to do all these things. So partnership working, I think, has paid off very much on this one, because we do and we are able to call the shots, I suppose. You know, but I'm thinking about advertising. You don't get much for 25k, do you? In the grand scheme of things. We educate, you know, about castles, promoting the coastal path, and the reach is impressive if you look at the stats that's been provided. So I think for me, I was sceptical in the start, I have to admit, but actually I'm very positive about the next few years. And I've seen that, and I've seen some of the outcomes with people visiting what I have here on the farm. So I can see that filtering through, actually. Obviously, it would be great for no cut, I think. I'm mindful of what Tegrin said. I don't want to repeat about difficult situation tourism finds itself. But also I'm mindful that perhaps we should be consistent with PCC as well. And they have received a reduction. I think it was 10% or roughly that recently. So I think it's important that we're consistent. I don't think we should be different from them. So I think we should personally go for option 3, continue to provide funding but a reduced level of the 10% of 2.5. So that'll keep us in line. But also not reduce for the foreseeable future until we know the outcome of a levy. It would be a flat rate. So I suppose you could argue that actually it's a reduction because time you consider inflation, you know, you don't get so much value for your money. So that's what I'm thinking as your representative on the board, mindful that we do need this organisation. It does a huge amount for our core purposes. And I'll leave it there, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Di. That's really helpful to have that insight and also for you to plump for a specific option there. So I've got Rosie next, then Councillor Evans-Tim, and then Gwyn. So Rosie first, please.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, it's really good to hear from Di as our rep, and I too am in favour of continuing support. And I think I was like Di, a little sceptical at the outset. Visit Pems has, it seems to me, made actually significant progress in its establishment and development and broken some new ground, which is always tough. and despite the fact it's been facing pretty strong financial headwinds in the economic and visitor circumstances of the last 5 years. I think they're, the chief exec and the board and the staff are to be congratulated with what they have achieved, actually, and we shouldn't fall shy of that. We can all see the visitor economy is going to continue to be buffeted by pretty tricky economic, social, political, climate, weather circumstances in the next years. And given the forthcoming elections, plus, even looking at the way the Pembrokeshire visitor economy seems to me to be reeling under the recent biting impact of the hike in second-hand, the second homes rate assessments, which has come in very late, which has been, I know, a huge blow to many, many businesses. I think Pembrokeshire Tourism needs all the collaborative efforts we can muster to avoid it being in a whirlwind of sort of downturn, as it were. And it just seemed to me that it provides for the collaborative vehicle, which is the best opportunity for us to capitalise on opportunities and move forward the regenerative approaches that I know Di and we as an authority are so keen to see. And as Tegrin says, it strengthens our voice, the tourism economy. I sort of see it as an invest to save collaboration by us. Nevertheless, we did say in February 25, this MPA, there would be a cost benefit analysis, and we would require in the forthcoming year to assist our future sort of decision making. And we do, I think, need to contextualize our funding within a positive performance trajectory. I don't want to be dominated by, metrics, but some sensible, meaningful, light touch performance metrics and a positive trajectory, which we've had from Visit Wales, I think. We need to have our funding contingent on that continuing, not just, well, there's another but and it goes down again. And so likewise, I think to keep everybody's efforts sharp, my view is that a sliding scale, but linked to a sort of positive performance trajectory and some simple metrics would be appropriate in all the circumstances. And likewise, I'm happy to commend that view.
So Rosie, just to check, are you talking option 3 or option 4 there?
I think I'm easy on either, actually.
Okay, okay, that's helpful. Diolch yn fawr. Councillor Evans, Tim.
Lovely, thank you, Chair. Yeah, I too, like Di, would have opted for option 3. I think, with the economic climate the way it is now, and lots of businesses are having to cut back and stuff like that. And I do appreciate the work the Visit Pembrokeshire do, but I think we do need to be part of this as national parks to be given our bit towards the tourism of Pembrokeshire, and like the chair, like Di just said, Visit Pembrokeshire sort of finding their feet. The one thing that does surprise me with Visit Pembrokeshire maybe finding their feet is projected figures year on year for growth in membership. It surprises me that the limited or the numbers of businesses in Pembrokeshire tourism, why aren't they joining up quicker if it's got such benefits for those businesses? So I would support option 3 today. Yeah, thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Tim. Very helpful. I think when we asked the CEO, Emma, about this, I think she highlighted the very small. A lot of our businesses are very small in Pembrokeshire, aren't they? They're single traders or small medium enterprises, but on the small side. So they really do have to be persuaded to join, and that's the challenge that Di set the team, I think. And I agree that perhaps increasing growth would be welcome. We've got Gwyn Alistair Jones.
Di Clemens cynta. Mae Di eisiau dweud
Okay. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
No,
if I
you
could
want
just
to
come
come
back on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I could, thanks, Tim, and that's I absolutely agree. You know, that's why we need to keep the organisation sharp. I sit on the subcommittee for membership, so there's two of us along with Chief Exec, and we go through. In fact, I've got one in the next week or so where we go through the membership. We put targets in, and there's a lot of pressure on to keep those to reach those targets. So please feel assured that and it was from me from the beginning saying we needed to make sure that membership was, and that's why you've seen that increase. Make sure membership was increasing. Just for your information, all the big players in Pembrokeshire, and you know we know those big players. I'm not going to name them, but are all members of Visit Pembrokeshire. So we've got the big ones. The little ones are perhaps don't. You know, if you're a sole trader, you're busy doing your tourist industry, you don't have time necessarily, and this is what we're working on, getting those as well. So just for your information, yes, it's and I think that's why it's important to say, you know, keep an edge. They've got to have a certain amount of funding, so you know, let's just keep an eye on that, and by giving the funding all the time, it just takes that edge off, doesn't it? So we just need to keep them hungry, isn't it, basically? Yeah. All right, so hopefully that might give you a bit of assurance. Okay, thank you, Chair.
Thank you,
Yeah, thanks, Di. Gwyn.
Diolch, Madam Cadeirydd. I gychwyn, swn i hoffi deud fy mod i'n
I would like to
cytuno efo
say,
be oedd Di
to begin with, that I agree with what Di said and what Tegrin mentioned in his presentation, which leads me on, which guides me naturally towards option 3. But before I just leave it at that, I would like to share with you just a couple of observations I have about this whole issue. On reading the paper, one sees things such as it was assumed that the majority of the support would be relating to marketing and public relations. Now, those visiting Pembrokeshire, they have discovered other things that might weaken their focus. It says it is unlikely that this would not be able to continue in its current form. What is the current form? Do we need to look at the form that we have chosen? If you look at this, there is something in the notes here mentioning the fact that this was the first scheme of its kind in Wales. This might be the case, but there are at least 9 development management plans. Do we look at what they are doing on a practical basis? And as a member, I would like to suggest that we look at what's happening in other parts of Wales, because I'm not entirely sure that the work that is being undertaken currently is entirely what I'd like to see being prioritised. I have no further observations other than point 3.4. You mentioned there strong partnership. Pembrokeshire County Council and PCC. Well, you know, one of them is not needed. Well, that's it. That is how I shall vote if it goes to a vote, which will be certainly option 3 to support financially, though I feel that the contributions need to be reduced. Thank you.
Diolch, Gwyn. Di, I don't know whether you want to come back on that. It's my understanding that this was certainly the first destination management organisation. Other councils have plans, of course. Other areas have plans, but this is the first actually established separate organisation. But I'm sure that Emma and the team are working with others across the country and indeed further afield. Is that the case?
I mean, they're always looking at what other people are doing, but you know, this is how it was set up. from sort of 5 years ago, and it was bringing all those strands in of tourism, and Planed as well. Actually, I think probably you should have put Planed rather than PCC there for the second time. So yes, I mean, yes, of course. I mean, it's always good to look over the water or over the boundary or whatever to have a look and see what's going on. But I think everybody seems content at the moment. It's always good to look, but I think we feel at the moment that it's working. Very good team. We all get on really well together, but we also say what we think, and if we need to push the boundaries, we do, and I do. So, and as others do. So, but we all realise the importance tourism is to this economy. But I recognise as my position as Parks representative that we need to be pushed for those priorities that we hold dear. So hopefully that helps.
Yes, it does. Thank you very much. Thank you. Gwyn, okay?
So dwi'n gefnogol iawn i'r gwaith mae Dai yn neud.
I am very supportive of the work that Dai is doing.
Diolch. Tegrin, your hand is raised. Do you want to just come in on that, or is it a separate issue? Because we've got Maureen and Mike and Rosie who both all want to speak.
It was two quick points, one on Tim and one on thing, just to add a bit of background, which might be useful to get in the public domain. One, in terms of Tim and the membership issue, it's true to say, as recipients of public funding, a degree of Visit Pembrokeshire's work is there to promote the wider tourism industry. So therefore, it does contribute to businesses that are not members. And, part of their challenge is how do you create a distinctive offering that makes it worthwhile for them for businesses to be a business, and that's the challenge. But everybody benefits by this by virtue of the public funding. And the second one bit on Gwyn, I think you've got different models. What we're able to do by having a public-private partnership is probably have a more balanced approach to managing tourism. There are bodies in North Wales and Mid Wales that are very trade-led, and there is a very different feeling in the comments coming out of them than there is in Visit Pembrokeshire there. So different models, different places.
Diolch. Thank you very much. Maureen, Councillor Bowen.
Thank you, Madeleine. I've been going to the beach in the last couple of weeks, and I've been amazed at how empty the beaches are compared to, say, last year or the year before. It's absolutely, there's a big, in my opinion, there's a big reduction, and I feel that option 2 should be our choice, because let's not be half-hearted about supporting Visit Pembrokeshire and not make a token cut because we can. I think, at the moment, we need to give all the support we can to the park, to businesses, to everything that brings tourists in. And particularly in my view, and I've got no statistics to prove this, but there seems to be a downward trend in tourism. I lived in Tenby for 26 years, and I can feel the trend with car parks, the beaches, etc., and being able to get a meal. I was late going out on Sunday, went to Broadhaven. There was no queues, there was nothing. There were people, there were people on holiday, but not what you would expect this time of year. So £250, the £2,500 cut in funding, it's neither here or there. Let's support these people and see what they can do for us.
Thank you, Maureen. That's a very clear and cogent argument. There were quite a lot of people at Amroth last night, but I take your point that I think there has been feedback that numbers don't seem quite so busy this year. It is anecdotal until we get the stats, of course, but thank you for that comment. Mike, Councillor James.
Diolch yn fawr iawn, Cadeirydd.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I echo most of people's feelings. Option 3 is certainly the best. We must have someone to speak for the entire county, businesses, people, the community. It is so important to have someone who can speak for these people. I should like to know, Di, if possible, how many businesses from the north of Pembrokeshire have joined Visit Pembrokeshire? I'm North Pembrokeshire, well, that's from St David's down to Poppet Sands, to see how many businesses support Visit Pembrokeshire. There are people around. Now that the school holidays have commenced, I'm sure that the numbers will grow. It's important that we keep toilets open because the blue flag is very important in order to attract people to clean beaches where they are certain that if there is a blue flag, they know the quality and the standards will be very high. If Visit Pembrokeshire can help out those beaches where the toilets are so important to people and where they can be kept open, because the businesses around places such as Newport, Poppet Sands, down to Solva, you know, if we have the blue flag and toilets that are open, they will help attract people. So yes, I should like to support option 3. Thank you for the work that you do, Di. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
Just coming back. Yeah, just coming back on that, I can't give you numbers on North, but I can find them for you, and I can do that privately afterwards, if that's okay. Thank you.
Diolch yn fawr. Tegrin, you raised your hand. No, fine. Rosie.
Well, you asked me what was I supporting option 3 or 4, and I just thought, okay, I'll look again at that. Actually, just to throw the spanner in the works, I was going to say I would support option 4 for the following reason. There's no financial difference to us net between option 3 and option 4, and it feels to me that it gives a sort of step up the ladder for Visit Wales. It gives them a bit of headspace. You know, it's a difference. The ratio is much higher for them than it is for us. However, having heard, I think, Maureen's point, which I think is a really good one, you know, don't let's be half-hearted about this just because we can. I think that's real food for thought. But otherwise, I would go for option 4, frankly, rather than option 3. But there you are.
Right, members, we have a number who are supporting option 3, at least one who's tending towards option 4, and another member who made a very strong argument for option 3. So we seem to have come to the decision that we will continue to support Visit Pembrokeshire, which I think is a positive place to come to. And now I am inviting any of our members to actually propose one of the options, and we can start to vote. Di.
The reason I chose option 3 was so that we were consistent with Pembrokeshire County Council. That was the only reason. We don't have to be. We don't have to be wedded to it at all. But it was just that I think we thought that it would be consistent throughout and we'd remain. But of course, we're our own organisation and we can choose what we want. But I think I'm still going to stick to option 3, Chair. That's my proposal. So a 10% cut with it remaining thereafter. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Di. So we have a proposal there. Tim, your hand is next, and I
Yeah,
know
I'd still like to second option 3 as well, please.
Thank you very much. So we have proposer and seconder there. Maureen, you suggested perhaps option 2 was your preferred one. How are you feeling now?
The same, Madeline, the same. Option 2, please.
Right. So I believe we have a proposer and a seconder for option 3. Before we go to the vote on that, we now have a proposer for option 2. I think that would then count as a counter motion, and we need a seconder for that, and we would take that vote first. Is that the case, Caroline or Georgia?
I would appreciate Caroline.
Yes, indeed, Chair. It would be that amendment as such that you would take first.
Yeah, okay.
I take it you would need to check a seconder.
But you would need to find
that?
a seconder for that, indeed,
sir.
sir.
I do need to have a seconder. I'm just sort of planning my way through this potential minefield. So I've got Mike and Simon both wanting to speak. Mike.
Diolch yn fawr iawn. Cwestiwn sydd gyda fi os byddwch chi bod garedi.
I have a question, if you'll be so kind.
Yr arian ni wedi gael
What about the money that we've received from the Welsh Government back in December? Will we be looking at this again next year? Because if our funding is reduced, we need to save money and identify how we're going to save the money.
Yr arian i ni yn cael oddi wrth y cynulliad. Diolch yn fawr iawn.
Thank you.
Nôl â cwestiwn arall.
Sorry to come back with another question.
No, questions are, Mike. I think we have charged Tegrin and his senior team to reduce costs. We've been through a budget meeting where we've been looking at our costs and identifying areas that we could make further reductions. I think out with any end of year funding that we may or may not receive from Welsh Government, we need to do this. We are in a budget deficit position at the moment, and we need to change that. So Tegrin, perhaps if you can just add a comment there.
Yeah, to be honest, you know, as I said, it's on a list of cost savings. It's just, this is one where we take a bigger picture, and over the long term, we think that it might be more beneficial both for the wider national park for us to continue supporting, and possibly opportunities further down the line. There, so it's just a judgment call, really, which we hope will come to pass in a couple of years' time.
Yeah, diolch yn fawr. Thank you.
Happy with that, Mike? Yeah, okay, thank you, Tegrin. And again, a reminder that Maureen has suggested that we continue to fund at the current rate of £25,000 for the next 3 years, as opposed to an immediate reduction of £2,500, which we would then continue for the next 3 years, as proposed by Councillor Clements and already seconded. Do I have a seconder for Maureen's proposal? I have Simon and Rosie with their hands up.
I'm happy to, I've not spoken in this debate before. I'm more than happy to second Councillor Bowen's amendment that the funding be retained at £25,000 per annum. I think the symbolism of support is more, it's probably means more than the £2,500 saving. And Councillor Bowen made a very powerful point when she proposed that we maintain funding for Visit Pembrokeshire. So I'm happy to second it.
Thank you, Simon. So I now have a proposer and a seconder. Rosie, do you want to?
Yes, and the only point I wanted to make on that, and I'm very happy to go with that as well. But should that fall, I would like to come back and propose option 4, simply because I don't think we need to be tied to PCC. We are our own organisation, and I think looking in the interest of Visit Pembrokeshire, it would be better that they had a stepped amount per year rather than both ourselves and PCC cutting them by 10% in the same year. But there you are. I will be voting along with Maureen's recommendation at the moment.
I just need to check again with Caroline. Should I be taking Rosie's proposal that she would like to come back if Maureen's option fails? She would like to propose another amendment, which is to go with option 4. Do I need a proposer and seconder, and therefore us to vote on that as an amendment straight away, or can we go to the vote of Maureen's proposal to maintain funding?
I believe we need to go to the vote on Maureen's proposal. We should deal with the one first before we take a further amendment on the amendment.
That makes ultimate sense to me, but I just needed to check if it's actually the correct way forward. Right, members, we have a proposal from Councillor Bowen and a seconder from Councillor Hancock that option 2 continue to fund at the current rate of £25,000 per annum should go forward, and I would be happy to see your hands for that motion now, please. And I'm also voting for that, so that's 7. We have any abstentions? No. Those against, please. That's 6 against, 7 for. So that motion is carried. So we will be continuing at the £25,000 rate for supporting Visit Pembrokeshire for the next 3 years. Happy with that, members? That's what we've decided. So thank you very much for your discussion and input to that. We will now have a break, I think, for 10 minutes. And so return at 12:10. Thank you very much.
Sorry, Chair. Can we just make sure that we do get some that cost benefit and some performance trajectory bedded into at least the next presentation and the way we're going forward?
Absolutely. And we have an annual presentation from the CEO, so I would expect to see that. Yeah, thank you very much.
For any remaining members, can I just let you know that I'll be leaving the stream running, so if you'd like to turn your cameras off for the duration of the break for me, please. Thank you.
Caroline or Georgia?
Hi, Angie.
Hello.
How can I help?
I'm just wondering, I'm getting a bit confused. Why wasn't option 3 the first offer to do? Why did it jump to Maureen's, even though it was seconded?
Caroline would be better to explain this for you.
Yeah, because it was an amendment to the initial proposal.
Oh, I thought it was amendment. Right, it was amendment. Thank you. Thank you.
I'll just pop the break Word document up now.
Well done. We should have had the standing orders workshop before the meeting.
Yes.
No, it was fine. It was properly done.
It's
no
different.
problems.
Yeah.
We are still streaming, just to make you aware. Diolch.
Knowing the way of amendments and motions is quite an interesting take, but yes, and we have got a workshop afterwards on exactly this. So members,
you realise, Chair, it was only a plot to make sure you knew your standing orders and could work it all out on your first meeting.
Exactly.
We were set up by Caroline, of course.
Thank goodness that Caroline and Georgia are there. That's all I can say. Diolch yn fawr. Croeso nôl. Welcome back. I hope everyone had a little chance for a break there. Sorry, that was a longer session than I anticipated, but important items covered there and important decisions made. Similarly, we are going on to other important items. So we'll move on to 3325. This is Local Development Plan 2, Supplementary Planning Guidance. Members, you're obviously all aware that we are currently progressing discussions and consultations about our LDP 3, but we are still working to LDP 2, and we have before us supplementary planning guidance in four very important areas of consideration. So we're looking at conversions in the countryside, replacement dwellings in the countryside, conservation and enhancement of dark skies, good practice guidance, and affordable housing. So issues that we discuss frequently at our Development Management Committee. So I'm going to hand over to our Strategic Policy Manager, Emma Gladstone, to take us through this paper. Diolch, Emma.
Diolch, Chair. Hopefully you can see the slides. I'm not sure if it's on slideshow mode. There we are. Brilliant. Thank you. Prynhawn da, good afternoon. So the paper seeks approval to undertake public consultation on four public supplementary planning guidance. I've also requested delegated authority to enable officers to make formatting changes to ensure that they meet the accessibility requirements and insert relevant photographs and illustrations as well prior to consultation, please. So I'm just going to briefly outline the purpose and status of supplementary planning guidance, and then the key messages from each of the SPG documents. So firstly, what is supplementary planning guidance, or as we refer to it, SPG? So in terms of status, planning law is established that the determination of planning applications must be made in accordance with the development plan unless material considerations indicate otherwise. And in Wales now we have the National Development Plan, Future Wales, and we also have an adopted Local Development Plan 2 for the Pembrokeshire Coast National Park Authority. So these two documents form the primary basis for decisions and are considered as the development plan. Supplementary planning guidance does not form part of the development plan, but can be prepared to supplement policies in the adopted Local Development Plan. And once adopted, SPG may form a material planning consideration in the determination of planning applications. So the purpose of SPG is therefore to add more detail about the application of policies in the adopted Local Development Plan and provide consistency and clarity in the planning process. So firstly, we've got SPG then on conversions in the countryside. The purpose of this is to support conversions and ensure the survival of traditional rural buildings that add to the character and charm of the National Parks landscape. So the key policy that it supplements in the LDP is Policy 7, Countryside, which allows for the conversion of appropriate buildings. The SPG has been structured around a series of questions and provides guidance on the suitability of buildings for conversion. They need to be appropriate and suitable without considerable extension or alteration or rebuilding, and should be supported by a structural report. There's guidance on appropriate uses and guidance on specific design aspects to ensure then the traditional character and features are retained. Secondly, we've got draft guidance on replacement dwellings in the countryside, and the purpose is to ensure that development respects the character of the national park. And officers can receive applications which seek to maximise development footprint of a dwelling, and that can result in some unsympathetic development in the national park landscape. So there's no specific policy on replacement dwellings in the LDP, but this will supplement Policy 29, Sustainable Design, and 31, Minimising Waste. Again, the SPG is structured around key questions and provides guidance on whether the building makes a positive contribution to the visual and intrinsic character of the National Park's landscape through its architectural merit or setting in the landscape, and that's the original dwelling that would be replaced. We consider that before considering whether replacement would be appropriate, whether the present dwelling has an existing lawful residential use, whether demolition is justified in sustainability terms, and whether the impact would have on carbon emissions and the generation of waste, and also whether the replacement dwelling then is sited on the same footprint, would be a similar size and scale as the existing dwelling. And we've got some sort of guidance that a replacement dwelling should be no larger than 30% of the floor area of the original dwelling. But this will be obviously on a case-by-case basis, and that's just guidance. We've also proposed to consult on the adoption of good practice guidance on the conservation and enhancement of dark skies, and this document was prepared by the All Wales Dark Skies Working Group on behalf of the Welsh Government. And Gail Lister, Principal Planning Officer in the team, was part of this working group and was very instrumental in contributing to the preparation of this guidance and in launching the document. So the good practice guidance provides practical guidance on designing and submitting lighting schemes and assessments and plans that are appropriate in the landscape, and provides guidance for planners in assessing lighting schemes. The purpose is not to eliminate lighting in the national park, to promote appropriate lighting, which can result in improved outcomes in terms of energy saving, create attractive and safe spaces, lead to higher quality residential development, improve health and well-being, improved enjoyment of dark sky culture and heritage, and also protect biodiversity. So officers propose to adopt the good practice guidance as SPG, and we've also prepared an explanation note to outline the purpose of the SPG alongside national and local policy context. A special quality of our national park is dark skies, so it would supplement a number of relevant LDP policies that are listed on screen. So the document provides guidance on types of lighting, light pollution, benefits of good design, undertaking a lighting assessment, and it also outlines the planning process, suitable planning conditions and planning policies, and provides examples of lighting schemes. And the final SPG, this one is actually an update to existing supplementary planning guidance that we have on affordable housing. And it provides guidance on the authority's requirements in relation to affordable housing and how the policies in LDP2 will be implemented as listed on the screen. The SPG has been updated to provide guidance on the publication of Future Wales and policies in that we take into account, and Pembrokeshire's latest local housing market assessment from 2023. It also provides clarity on commuted sum payments and when these are required, and guidance on how to calculate off-site affordable housing payments where delivery of affordable housing units cannot be made on site. Instances when this has been the case is when we've got low numbers of affordable housing units required on site, the management for which RSLs find difficult, and sometimes results in RSLs not wanting to acquire the affordable housing units. So the SPG then sets out what evidence is required from an applicant and how a financial contribution would be calculated in lieu of on-site delivery. It also provides clarity then on 10 years of affordable housing which are suitable on exception sites. So we do find that shared ownership and low cost home ownership on exception sites are not likely to be acceptable. And this is because mortgage companies require a mortgagee in possession clause, which undermines the ability to retain them as affordable housing in perpetuity. So on exception sites, we would wish to see social rented or intermediate rented tenure. There's also guidance there on the level and type of information to be submitted as part of a viability assessment. So in terms of consultation and engagement on the 4 documents, officers propose to undertake public consultation on the SPG documents for a minimum of 6 weeks. This is likely to be increased. We'll look at timescales, but minimum 6 weeks. We'll contact all of those on our LDB contact list, and obviously the documents will be available online. An online engagement session will also be held for planning agents and RSLs, and a separate session for town and community councils, and these will also be open to members of the public to also register to attend. This will provide an opportunity then for officers to present and explain the content of the guidance and invite questions. And all responses will obviously be considered by officers, and we will prepare a report of consultation to address and respond to any comments received, and then report back to members. Thank you, and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Emma. Really clear, and thank you for the papers. I like the question and the dichotomous key approach, really. You know, if you answer yes, and if you answer no. And you've obviously highlighted throughout where you would intend to add photos and other items, so covering the delegated authority parts. Just before I take any comments from members, to say I think you will need more than 6 weeks, particularly during this coming period. You know, it is difficult for people to organise getting responses back during the summer holiday when perhaps key staff are away and so on. So it might be worth already anticipating that it's, as you did in your presentation, that it's likely to be longer than 6 weeks. But that's just a comment anyway. So, Dr. Plummer.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I thought this was a very clearly presented paper, so thank you, Emma and the team. Many will know how enthusiastic I've been as an advocate of dark skies approaches for a very long time, and was involved with the launch of the Good Practice Guide earlier this year. And I think we all also fully appreciate the value of SPGs to help us clarify our interpretation and planning decisions, which are sometimes knotty. So I certainly would welcome, and I think we all will welcome the proposed consultation on the SPGs for these 4 different items: the conversions, countryside, the replacement dwellings, and affordable housing, obviously dark skies. And I'm entirely happy to support and move the recommendation for the undertaking public consultation on those 4 draft SPGs. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Rosie, and I assume that your proposal also will include the delegation issues, so just formatting and making the
absolutely. Sorry, goes without saying. Yes,
that's fine. Thank you very much indeed. Simon.
Yeah, I'm absolutely delighted to second the recommendation regarding the 4 SPGs and as a basis then for public consultation. And I'm glad you mentioned, Chair, about the fact that August is holiday time and there's probably a poor sort of response. So an extended consultation period would be welcome, but I'm happy to second the recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, Simon. That's very helpful. Does anybody have any particular comments or questions about any of the SPGs themselves? I was very pleased to see the replacement dwelling SPG. That's been an area where we've had discussions on a number of occasions, and I think that decision-making tree about does it need to be demolished as being the first question is really critical. And I know that we've raised previously about reuse of materials, but appreciate that perhaps I couldn't see that anywhere, Emma, but perhaps that's more building regs than SPG. I'm not sure, but just leave that one with you, perhaps, unless you want to comment back.
No, I'll look into that and see if we've got sufficient wording then on reuse of materials and minimising waste. Thank you.
Yeah, but that was the key there. So much appreciate it. Now, members, any other points that anybody wishes to raise? So we have a proposer and a seconder that these 4 SPGs go out for consultation, and that we delegate to Emma issues of formatting and minor edits. If anybody has picked anything up, then I'm sure she would welcome them. So I'll go to the vote on this.
Chair, Councillor Mike James wanted to say something.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you very much. I hadn't picked that up. Thank you, Michael. Over the Herald, Mike, over to you. Sorry.
Na, dim o gwbl, diolch yn fawr.
No problem at all, thank you.
Dim ond cefnogi
I should just like to support what everyone has said about the work that Emma and her team has put into this. It's always a very busy time with this sort of work.
Replacement dwellings.
As you say, with the replacement dwellings.
Conversion, sorry.
And the conversion in the countryside.
Application cynllun yn sefyll wrth un. So
every application will be a standalone application. So I should very much look forward to see what type of applications will be coming in. As regards the dark skies, I'm sorry, this has been very, very interesting to me for years.
I was drew dark skies I gael yn ch'mod am y dyfodol. I was rhywbeth I chi'n edrych ar.
Will there be any future dark skies? Is there anything you're looking at within the national park area? You know, we've been, just a quick question, and I'm sure you can provide me with a succinct answer, Emma. And will there be anything in a similar vein in future? Thank you for your work, Emma.
Thank you. Of course, we have a dark skies officer as well, who's been very helpful in leading on this. But Emma, perhaps you could respond to Mike. Diolch.
Yeah, diolch. So we no longer have a dark skies officer, but we do work collaboratively with designated landscapes in Wales, and we do currently have over the next 2 years between £50,000 and £60,000 funding then to make some improvements in terms of lighting and dark skies. So we're looking at a project there and identifying a suitable location, focusing on priority ecological networks and where we should focus. So we're currently collaborating then with across the designated landscapes of Wales to identify a suitable project over the next 2 years.
Diolch yn fawr, Emma.
Excellent. Now, so everybody finished? Sorry about missing you, Mike. Okay, so to back we have a proposer and a seconder, Dr. Plummer, and seconded by Simon, to approve the SPG consultation and delegate authority to Emma to do the final tweaks to these before they go out. Can I see everybody voting for that in the usual fashion, please? Right, I've got 13 there, which I think is unanimous. Can I just check members present? Any abstentions? Any against? No, thank you for that, Emma. Diolch fawr iawn, and we look forward to receiving the paper at the end of the consultation period and receiving the comments that we get. Thank you very much indeed. We move on now to item 3425. This is standing orders relating to contracting and procurement procedures, and members were asked to consider and adopt the revised contract standing orders dated this month. And our Head of Finance and Fundraising, Catherine Evans, is going to lead us through these. Croeso, Catherine.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. It's a lovely day out there. Right. So as certainly as councillors, I'm sure you're aware of the new Procurement Act that affect all government bodies. And this was introduced, became effective then, even though it's called 2023, it became effective on the 24th of February 25. And in addition to that, we've also got the Social Partnership and Public Procurement Wales Act as well, which we need to take into account. So the Welsh Act pretty much mirrors the English Act with additional responsibilities around Welsh language and with the requirement to be socially responsible when it comes to public procurement. So what we've done, we haven't produced a new document. Basically, we've updated our current contract standing orders. And as it's a legal document and as such is an important one, we worked with the STARI or Barcade Shared Services, who are internal auditors and who have procurement specialists. So we worked with them to amend and update this current standing orders. Bannau Brycheiniog also became part of that journey as well, and they've used this as well as a basis for their new standing orders. In Appendix A, I've just got a summary of all the key changes to the UK Procurement Act. But the main changes we've done is we've also obviously updated our limits, removed references to European law and the old legislation, and add the responsibilities in the Welsh Procurement Act in there. So there's been tweaks pretty much in every page, particularly around limits, etc. And we've also clarified role responsibilities within it as well. So I'm not going to go through every page, obviously, because every page has been tweaked or improved and hopefully clarified, because this is a key document for staff and they go to when it comes to procurement. We're already part of the Central Digital Platform for Celta Wales. We've already registered for that back in February, so we should be fine. I think one of the key things I do need to highlight to you before handing over to you, Chair, is that when it comes to exceptions, what we've done is rather than where we've had to take account of exceptions where we can't follow the rules fully, we'll be reporting that on an annual basis rather than at an ad hoc basis as they arise. And that's documented in the last page at the end of standing order number 16, page 26. All approvals and these standing orders will be reported and recorded by, oh no, wrong one. Yeah, so we said we'll be reporting any exceptions to NPA on an annual basis rather than as where we have to take account of exceptions. So that's I think a key change that you may need to be aware of. Otherwise, I think we're fairly happy with the document. We're asking members to approve that. And just to add as well, training on this and for updating staff on procurement has been scheduled for the 4th of September. So we'll be going over this document, procurement procedures, and updating everybody as what are any key changes, how will impact staff. It won't impact staff hugely, other than on main larger contracts with tenders, etc. So that's it. Over to you.
Diolch, Catherine. Thank you very much, and particularly important that you highlighted the change in reporting for exceptions, but also that training is not only required but is already scheduled. So that's really important that this is a living document. It's one that the teams will work by, and therefore very important that everybody understands roles and so on. Rosie, Dr. Plummer.
Thank you. First of all, a very clear paper indeed, and it's great to see the way you've logically worked through it with legal advice and going in step with BANI too. Thank you, Catherine. Just a couple of things. I saw the sort of annual report, but I wondered whether perhaps I was slightly surprised it wasn't perhaps more frequent reporting twice a year for the sake of argument, or to the audit committee, because I just thought, that one could pick up if there was something that was going peculiarly wrong, which I don't expect it would be, but it just felt to me like a year could be kind of an awfully long time before you pick something up. So that was one thing. And you mentioned the training on the 4th of September for staff, but I think, again, it's always useful to offer such training to members, even if very few of us would be interested. One or two of us might be for a particular reason, and it just, again, shows that kind of inclusivity. But otherwise, I'm very happy to propose the adoption. I think it's great. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosie. Catherine, I wonder if you want to come back on that potential to report more frequently to audit.
On the annual reporting, I think this was something that was recommended by Astari at the time, but obviously if you feel that sort of a bi-annual reporting would be more appropriate, I'm quite happy to amend the standing orders on that basis.
I just felt it should go to the audit committee as a sort of biannual, reporting would be, or whatever. I can't remember how many meetings audit has per year, but whatever makes sense.
Yeah. It's quarterly, and
well, I would have thought they could be reported each quarter if they occur. Then you're catching them kind of promptly.
Would that just be to the audit committee or to?
Yes, yeah. I think so.
And then no reporting to NPA.
Well, the minutes go to NPA, so that feels to me sufficient, personally.
Okay.
Members, how do you feel about that? I think it is important that audit are well aware. I also think it is important that the authority as a whole receives a formal report on exceptions, I have to say, and would think that maintaining an annual report for that would be appropriate. Although, as Rosie rightly points out, we do see the minutes of our audit committee meetings each time. My memory is that this doesn't happen very frequently, Catherine, anyway.
No, it does happen now and again, but not sort of as a, we try and avoid it, certainly, if that happens.
Exactly. So I think that may just be a way forward in your standard report to audit, that if there had been any exceptions, that it was covered in that might be an appropriate way forward. Thank you. Simon.
Thanks, Chair. I know that the Procurement Act has introduced significant changes to procurement when it comes to single tender actions. I don't think it doesn't eliminate single tender actions, but it does introduce new rules and requirements that makes the process more transparent and accountable. And I just wondered, Catherine, what are the main changes that we need to be aware of in terms of single tender actions, where we can comply with our normal procurement rules, in terms of there might be a very limited field of people, organisations who actually supply a good or service that we require. So what are the main changes in terms of the single tender actions that we need to be aware of?
All right, good question.
Thank you.
I would have to most probably come back to you with more detail around that. I know we've registered obviously on the Central Digital Platform with South Wales, and we have had. I don't think that is huge, because we don't. There's not a lot of big contracts that we send to tender. I mean, it's not a regular, perhaps in comparison to the county council, we don't do things like on a daily basis. It's perhaps the odd tender once or twice, well, even once a month, to be honest. So they're very few and far in between. And we do use South Wales for that, but I would have to get back to you on any level of detail.
Diolch, thank you.
If you could do that, Catherine, I think that would be helpful. I mean, the framework, we have faced this on very specific tenders for some equipment, haven't we, in the past? So where perhaps it is only one supplier that can give us the exact thing we require. But I think we've always been very clear and transparent in those areas.
Yeah.
But it is important that from my understanding, the whole aim of the Procurement Act was to make this much more clear and open and transparent. So one assumes that those changes will be beneficial in those ways. Any other comments or questions for Katrin? So members, we're asked to adopt the revised contract standing orders. We have a proposer from Rosie. I'm more than happy to second. So we have a proposer and a seconder. And so I would like to ask you to vote in the usual way, please.
Can I just confirm, Chair, that that's a main report to MPA and then any other reporting to audit?
Absolutely, Di. Sorry, as chair of audit, that's obviously of great interest to you. Yes, any exceptions to be reported in standard report to audit. So that's potentially 4 times a year. I doubt if it will happen that frequently, but then an annual report to come to MPA. Thank you.
Just mindful some members don't always read the audit
Absolutely.
when it comes to MPA.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Right, members, I had full head count there, I think. But I will just go back and confirm any abstentions. Hands still going down. And any against? No, thank you, Katrin. That's approved. Diolch yn fawr. So now we move on to agenda item 3525. This is to endorse Wales Member Support Self-Evaluation Framework for National Parks and to establish a task and finish group to consider how we implement this framework. This is work that's been undertaken by both Welsh Government and WLGA, and our Democratic Services Manager, Caroline Llewellyn, is going to talk us through this paper. Thank you, Caroline.
Prynhawn da, members. Good afternoon, members. Some of you will be aware that this framework is based on the WLGA's Wales Council Support Self-Evaluation Framework, because we've talked about it at the former People Services Committee. It replaces the Wales Charter for Member Support and Development in National Park Authorities, which we obtained some years ago. The framework is entirely voluntary, and the questions can be adapted to fit different authority approaches and positions. I can't read my writing there. I take members to the recommendation, which is our members are asked to endorse the framework and establish a task and finish group to consider implementation in this authority. The terms of reference for the task and finish group are appended to the report, and you will see the purpose is twofold: to consider implementation of the framework and also to allow members to input into the Welsh Government report on arrangements for evaluating individual member performance in Welsh National Park Authorities. And I circulated that report to members earlier on this week. So I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Caroline. Diolch. Yes, we've a number of members have attended Hugh Reese's very helpful workshops and so on, and he's also produced a report looking at member development generally and self-evaluation and so on. So I think if we go with your suggestion of endorsing this framework and establishing a task and finish group, it will be a useful role of that group to look at how we can address that in-house in a way that's suitable for ourselves as the Park Authority. Councillor Clements, Di.
Thanks, Jay. I'm happy to propose the recommendation. There's an awful lot here we can discuss when the time comes in the Task and Finish group. Yeah, might be some interesting conversations, but yeah, happy to do that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Di. And in asking us to establish a group, Caroline, can I just confirm that you'd be quite keen to get volunteers for membership as well?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I was just thinking that I should have added that into the recommendation. That if you could please, I would be grateful to receive some nominations to that group, because I think
thank you.
Certainly we would like to, certainly for the looking at the report, the Welsh Government report, we will need to consider that in September. So yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. So and we're going on our usual two-thirds Welsh Government to
that's right.
Elected members. So we're looking for six that's volunteers. Right. So Di, in proposing, I'm just wondering whether you'd be happy to put yourself forward for that as well.
Well, I was just writing something in the chat actually, but I won't bother. Yes, I'm happy to do that, because obviously I started this off with Hugh, so I've been all the way through it. So yes, happy to do that.
Thank you very much indeed. Rosie.
Yeah, I'll cut to the quick. Yes, certainly. It depends on if it's envisaged that the work of the working group will be done and dusted by the end of January, then I'd be happy to contribute. I'd even be keen to contribute. Just more broadly, I thought that although this was a good effort, just a few kind of observations. I was under the democracy bit. I was uncomfortable with the idea that we were going to represent the diversity of people who use the national park, given that we all know we have significant underrepresentation of diversity amongst our users. So just I thought I should flag that. And I was thinking about it. I was slightly uncomfortable with the sort of binary nature of the questions. They were almost entirely yes, no, and I would have welcomed the scope for a more evaluative sort of graded assessment. And it wasn't clear to me whether this was kind of individual, collective. I see it's a tool and we can use it anyway, but those were some of my thoughts. And then I went on to thinking, and I'm having a Simon moment here, I think, what's going to be done with the results of the self-assessment? Is there any ambition for tracking the trajectory, or is it just a reflective process of navel gazing for us all, either individually, collectively, or collaboratively? And then I wondered where the responsibility for improvement might lie, because presumably it shouldn't be with the poor Democratic Services Officer, but needs the chair, vice chair, the collective of member commitment to actually do anything useful with it. So there's my penneth. But yeah, I'm happy to play if I'm useful to play with.
Thank you, Rosie, much appreciated. I think those questions are very appropriate. And as Caroline said, this is a guidelines. It's not we don't have to do it. But I think with our great work that is done to help us improve and better our knowledge and skills via our workshops and study days and so on, and the hard work of the Democratic Services team there, I think it is, and indeed the great success that we had in getting the Advanced Charter, it showed our commitment to constantly improving ourselves and therefore the work of the organisation. So I think it is entirely appropriate that we should continue this. And yes, I think it probably responsibility for improvement does indeed sit with us as members and indeed the chair eventually. I'd be very grateful. I also would be interested and very happy to sit on this group and feel that it is not just a reflective process, although that is very important, but it's also the opportunity to identify areas for improvement for us as a collective, but also individually as well. So very, very important for us all I think, as well as the organisation. So can I take that you were seconding that as well, Rosie? Thank you very much. So we have a proposer, we have a seconder. We also have 3 members currently who have identified themselves. So I'm looking for a couple more. Claire, I saw you waving your hand there. Thank you very much.
Happy to volunteer.
So we'd be very grateful for 2 more elected members to step forward. I don't see this is going to be a very long-winded task and finish group, Caroline. I think we need to assess where we are and where we're going, basically. So Rosie, we'll certainly, hopefully it won't go over your time with us, and hopefully that will reassure people that they could be involved. So I've got Steve and Mike raising your hands, which I hope are offers of help.
Indeed so.
Diolch yn fawr iawn, thank you. And Mike?
Happy.
Oh, diolch yn fawr iawn, diolch i chi. Right, so we there you go, Caroline. I think you have a number of names now for a task and finish group that we haven't actually voted to establish yet, but we do have a proposer and seconder, both to endorse the framework and to establish that group. So members, can I see a vote for that proposal? Thank you, members. That's full house once again. Much appreciated. And Caroline, we stick with you now for the next report, 3620.
Chair, there's an issue that I'd like to raise with you, which I discussed with Caroline online. When we went to the vote on the Visit Pembrokeshire issue, we should have gone back and voted on the successful amendment as a substantive item. So members opted for option 2 and voted on that. That then became the substantive motion, and technically members should vote on that as a substantive motion.
Oh, right, of course, Mike, because that gives everybody the opportunity to vote on them rather than. Thank you very much for that. Sorry. I should have taken that straight away when we returned.
I should have picked it up earlier, so my apologies too.
It was my apology too, Chair. I did after we'd broken, I thought I should have done that, and I emailed Mike to say I think I should have done that, and he confirmed so.
There we go.
My apologies to you.
We all need the training session that we're going to have this afternoon. So, members, before we go on to 3625, we need to return again to 3225, and as the monitoring officer has just highlighted, we now need to vote as the substantive motion for option 2, which was maintaining the funding stream at £25,000 for the next 3 years, which won on the amended motion vote, but we now need to vote on it as the main proposal, main motion. So members, if you're clear on that, everybody happy? Okay, can we see all those 4, please? Thank you. I've got 11 for, so are there any abstentions? Two abstentions. Any against? So there's 2 against. Thank you very much. That formalises our voting on that now. Thank you very much. Apologies, members. So Caroline, we can now move on to your second presentation, 3625. This is the member development training plan. To agree the development training plan, Members, just to reiterate, it is slightly disappointing that not everybody has managed to speak with a colleague about training and requirements. Caroline has pulled this training plan together from those responses that she's received, but also the comments and thoughts and ideas that we put forward during our meetings. And we have a training session this afternoon about the way meetings are conducted. So that's an important learning point for us all. But Caroline, would you like to just go through the training plan as presented? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. The training plan before you provides a framework for the provision of training for members throughout the coming year, and it may be that we don't manage to achieve all of that within the current year. It can roll on into, it isn't necessarily all have to be done in the current year, but we will aim to do as much as we are able. Obviously, my report sets out some of the training, or most of the training, that we have undertaken in the last year, what has been delivered. It's been developed, as you say, from those personal support plans that I have received, together with training requests that come up throughout the year in response to reports presented to members, or throughout the year. The recommendation is to adopt the training plan. Obviously, a detailed workshop plan will be developed to fill in the workshops identified and tie them into the gaps in the current calendar of meetings. And we'll try and work on that over the summer to ascertain exactly what will happen when. So I would ask you to adopt the training plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Caroline, and thank you very much, both you and Georgia, for all the hard work that you put into organising our training plan and the member development workshops, study days and so on, which are really useful to us all, and we greatly appreciate it. And thank you again for the comment that this is flexible, and obviously during the year, if items come up that people are concerned about or committees identify would be useful for us to have further information about, that's always possible to include it in with the training as outlined. So, Di.
Happy to propose the recommendation, Chair, and say it's difficult. Thank you to Caroline and Georgia for doing it, but it's sometimes very difficult to do this when not everybody partakes. So if you haven't done it, please do it. That would be really grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Di. So we have a proposer. Rosie, you've raised your hand. Are you seconding?
Yeah, happy to second. And I just want to say, in my own experience, PCMPA has been not only supportive, proactive, effective in the range and the manner of support and development it gives to members in a way that's, I think, pretty unusual. So thank you very much for the support we get from Georgia and Caroline and all the team, because it's everybody who gives us the development and training, whether yn Gymraeg or not. Thank you.
No, indeed, I think the whole staff team are really excellent in helping us understand the complexities of their day-to-day work and helping us come to correct decisions when we need to. So thank you very much. So I have a proposer and a seconder. Members, I'm proposing to go to the vote here, please. Again, full house. Thank you very much indeed. And so we'll now move on to our last item on the agenda, 3725. We referred to this earlier when we received the information from the Standards Committee Appointments Committee. And I would just point out that on the agenda, we would be looking to appoint independent members from the date of this meeting, not the 18th of June, which was the anticipated date initially. But we were not able to confirm the appointments or interest in the appointments with the candidates by then. So you should have received brief biographies of the two members being discussed here, and I'll pass over to our monitoring officer, Michael Kent, just to talk to this paper. Thank you, Mike.
Yes, thank you, Chair. As the Chair's outlined, you're well aware of the efforts we've been making to appoint an additional member to the Standards Committee, independent member. The appointments panel met on the 18th of June in person, and 4 prospective candidates were interviewed, and 2 of those were exceptional in the panel's view, and they were offered the appointment. They were pleased to accept it, and the request today is for you to endorse that appointment to the Standards Committee as an independent members from today's date, 30th of July. You will have received a short resume from both of the new prospective members, setting out their background, which I'm sure you will have found interesting. But that's all I have to say on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Rosie, as a member of the Standards Committee.
Yeah, as an outgoing, sometimes outgoing, but flashing about member of the Standards Committee. Thank you very much. No, I think it's really brilliant to see such excellent appointments. I'm only sorry that from the Standards Committee point of view, it means the gender balance is going to be very disappointing.
Indeed, indeed. Point made. Any other comments? Rosie, are you proposing? Or do we need to vote on this, Mike?
I think we do, yes.
Yes, fine. And I'm happy to second, or Di, you've put your hand up. Thank you. So Di to second. So Gwyn, got a comment to make? Or are you voting already? Gwyn was voting already, I think. So I will go to the vote now. Diolch, Gwyn. So all those in favour of approval of the appointments, please. Thank you, members. Again, that's a full house. Very pleased that we'll have 2 new members of the Standards Committee able to join us. A very important committee, albeit not one that meets frequently. So members, that brings us to the end of our meeting today. Thank you very much for your attention and attendance and your input. As I said, there was a lot of important items to cover today, and I think we have done the agenda justice. Caroline, we have got a meeting, a workshop meeting following. Can you just confirm we're going to stay on this link, and what would be good timing? A half-hour break?
I think a half-hour break would be good. Yes, but please stay on this link.
Fine. So members, if I can say, I'm really looking forward to seeing you all over the summer in various things. We'd be delighted to welcome anybody and everybody to our stand at the Pembrokeshire Show in the 3rd week of August, and I hope everybody, particularly the staff, get some downtime as well to go out and about and enjoy our wonderful Pembrokeshire coast specifically. So diolch yn fawr iawn, and see you again at 5:30.